But there is, in my opinion, going to come a fork in the road where humanity will have to choose technology or life. If they choose technology, they will be merging with AI. They will be going into a type of metaverse. They will create another digital type of reality, and they will be able to do whatever they want within that reality. It's a deeper, more denser state of reality. People will go into that and they'll be able to live there as gods. And I think this is what the Bible talks about with the rapture and the second coming of Christ. And I'm not religious at all.
I had to have you back on the show. We did something previously, and I really enjoyed that conversation. I think, the one thing that we want to jump into today is like really the practicality of out of body states. I want to go back to give the viewers and audience context. I want to jump back into like your first out of body state. So you get out of body, you're looking at your body on the couch, you see your nose pointing to the ceiling. At that point, do you realize that you are like this, just the ghost in the machine? You know what I mean? Like, what is that realization? What is going through your mind?
Well, when that particular experience happened, yeah, kind of yes and no. I thought it was very unusual. I didn't know what to think of it. I didn't know if it was something that was going on in my brain, or if it was me separate from my body and I was moving within my body. But I'm not sure how much we spoke about last time about this experience, but in that moment, because I saw kind of my nose pointing upwards towards the ceiling, I thought, I wonder if I can move. And I kind of stood up in that moment, looked around the room, was a bit freaked out, and then kind of lay back down and went back to sleep.
Is this the realization that you are more than your body?
I've had quite a few things happen to me that's made me realize made me know I'm more than my body. Do you want me to kind of get into that, into just the deepest things, or?
Yeah, let's go deep.
Okay. From a child, I've been in sleep paralysis all my life. Didn't really know what it was. Thought it was maybe a trick of the brain. Thought there could be something to it. I always had this like deep feeling inside me that there was something more to life anyway. But at 21 years old, I had an experience where my identity kind of completely dissolved. It got destroyed. The me who I thought I was got destroyed. My name, my likes, my hobbies, everything I thought was real got destroyed. It got destroyed because my experience was of pure awareness. It was of pure infinity. It was of pure presence. And in that moment, I couldn't be anything else other than what I truly am, which is that. So that is probably the catalyst, the awakening, which led me on to kind of looking more into this subject of OBEs and sleep paralysis. But that was the biggest thing that happened to me in regards to, I wouldn't say the biggest, that was the first major catalyst.
So talk about sleep paralysis, because religion describes that, or previous conversations that I've had with other people say like sleep paralysis is an attack, like a psychic attack on someone, like demons are coming after you. Like, is that true? Is that fallacy? Like, what is that?
Yeah, that's not true at all. No, there's no truth to that. That's fear talking. Most people speak from fear because they kind of trap themselves in their own mind, because they identify themselves with their identity that they aren't. So people speak a lot from fear, and a lot of what I teach and what I guide is about integrating fear and actually understanding what it really is. But sleep paralysis itself is just an in-between state. It's where your body's asleep and your mind's awake. And the strange thing about it is you can see even though your eyes are closed. When people talk about demons, demonic possession, and stuff like that, all that is your fear in that moment manifesting a demon or a shadow being or some kind of image or symbolic shape that's perceived as demonic or evil, but really that's just your fear projecting into your immediate dimensional space.
Wow, dude. So the feeling of want, what was going on in your life that kind of, was there something going on in your life that kind of helped you get to that point of feeling that? Were you taking psychedelics? Was that like a natural kind of experience? Like, how did you basically set the container to have that experience?
The experience of infinity.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I did take psychedelics for this initially. This was some psilocybin mushrooms that I took that I just thought would make me laugh and make me see some funny colors. But there was 6 of us at the time that took the exact same mushrooms in the exact same amount. I was kind of the only one that had this. There was me and another friend that had it, but mine seemed to be the more in depth. But I put that down to me and my life in general. I was always seeking, I was always asking, I was always questioning. So it was psychedelics initially, but what I've come to learn, and which is what I tell people now, is I don't advocate for taking them, because these states and this realization and this state is something that you can find without taking anything. If you can just learn how to, well, you don't need to learn. If you can just relax into you, into the human self, and let go and surrender to your experience, and then you can, these states become a side effect.
What do you think the psychedelics are doing? Are they like stripping away reality as a filter? Like, what do you, is it like a key to unlock the brain?
In a way, yeah. So it was very forceful. There was nothing I could do to stop it. There was nothing I could do to control it. So for me, it forced open the veil that my brain covers. That's kind of how I can describe it. Yeah. And it wasn't, people can say that this was an effect and it was something your brain created, but it's not. Like, you know the difference between, I've said to people before, once you experience infinity, you can't put that in a box. There is no limit on infinity. It is limitless. You cannot limit the limitless. You can limit everything that you see around you using your brain, but as soon as you're open to infinity, you know, there's no denying what you know in that moment. And the best way I can describe how it feels is when you wake up from a dream, and this is so much more real than that dream, and you realize that you was in a dream. That is exactly what I felt in that moment. I was open to absolute truth. I was open to my truth, and I was awake in that moment. And I realized that this that we're in right now is a dream.
Dude, that's so wild. So how did you come to that realization? Was it just that one experience that revealed that to you, or was that many experiences built up to that?
So in the moment and the months and years following, really, I didn't really know that. I was in utter fear and terror and trauma after this experience. So, you know, awakening isn't, if you want to call it awakening, it's not bliss to start off with. It's something you have to integrate. It's something that takes a lot of time, because you think you're something that's this big for your whole life, and then all of a sudden you're infinite. You know, that when that happens, that completely destroys like everything that you've built, or that you think that you've built. Yeah, so that for me was the start, but the integration was what helped me kind of remember and helped me understand. And then also over the last year, once I've properly integrated all of that and I've understood, and yes, the dream did come from that, but then OBEs and stuff that's happened since has also made me know.
So like shadow figures like that are associated with like sleep paralysis, like it can be a horror movie for people. Like it could literally scare the crap out of someone. So like what specifically told you that you were manufacturing these fear, like these beings from your own fear? Like how did you know that?
Because the beings would always turn up when I was in fear. And when there was loads of, I've been in sleep paralysis so many times, I can't count how many. There were times where I was calm, and in those times they didn't appear. And there was one time that really proved it to me, where the being, or a being, was there. It seems to be the same one, always shows up, but a being was there, and I'd just had enough of being scared, and I kind of, in my mind, or in my head, I told it to change, and it changed into a bouquet of flowers. And then after that, on a separate occasion, I told it to leave, and it left. And then, yeah, I was just experimenting for a long time with changing the being and allowing it to enter and allowing it to leave. And I realized that that was me doing it the whole time.
Really? So, like, if someone wakes up tonight with sleep paralysis and they have a demon sitting on their chest, like, what would you say to them to get rid of that fear, to get rid of that demon?
Relax, and just know that you can't be touched or harmed, and just. And it's weird, because what you're asking is in the moment. Of course, that seems scary, but honestly, like, truly, I'll tell everyone watching, just relax in that moment and try and stay calm and command it calmly with your sovereignty that you have, that you're made from. Command it to go or leave, and it will. There's nothing that anyone can do to you, or anything.
Mm-hmm. That's so wild, dude. Like, so you just say the words, like, I don't know, get out of here, leave me be, or whatever. I'm a sovereign being, like, go, right? Or you basically, I've heard other people use different type of religious names to expel these types of fears. Does that actually work, or is it you surrendering to that fear is the thing that is the mechanism that gets rid of it, essentially, if that makes sense?
Yeah. It works if you believe it. So if you're in fear and you just say those words and you don't truly believe that what you're going to say is going to work, then I don't know, because when I've spoke like this, I've never been in fear. I've commanded it. But also, what's important is you don't even have to say anything. When you're in that state, you just have this, you use your intuition. I don't know what to call it. You just use your knowing to move them, to change them, without speaking, without saying anything. They just go. You just you use your willpower, your will to, yeah. I don't know.
So before you exhale, a lot of people talk about, like, vibration, like buzzing, sounds, shaking. Like, can you describe the physical sensation that you feel when you're entering into those states?
Yeah, for me specifically, so it's different. So when I'm getting into sleep paralysis purposefully from a wakeful state, I see it all happen. When I do it on purpose, where I wake up into it, I'm already in it, so I don't see that happening. So there's two ways that I can do it. The way that you're talking about, what I experience when I go from a wakeful state to sleep paralysis, I first experience a kind of numb/tingling sensation. It usually starts in my arms, hands, fingertips, and then kind of goes across my whole body. And then as that kind of gets to its peak, there's a certain swaying of the body or limbs, or just a very light swaying of the self within the body, within the physical body. And then after that, to come out, there is vibrations, like your whole body is vibrating. But that's what I'd say is the most that's what happens the most. But I've had it in different ways, but that's what happens the most.
Now, when you get out of your body, I've heard you talk about, like, vision, right? How do you see without your eyes, your physical eyes? And, like, what does that look like? You have 360. I've heard you say you have 360 vision. Is it black or white? Like, what does that look like?
There's not just, people kind of talk about one way of having an out of body experience. I've had so many different ways. I've seen in so many different ways. So I've been able to see where I'm like an observer, where I have no body, where I'm just a bird's eye view. I've been able to see where I come out, and my awareness isn't fully with me yet. So it's kind of a bit blurry, a bit watery around. But when you focus your awareness in, it becomes almost hyper real. Yeah, there's dreamlike states where things are a bit hazy. But again, it's all about focusing your attention and your awareness and stabilizing your awareness. That's what fully brings you in. That's what fully makes you present in that moment. Yeah, when people talk about these like classic OBEs where it's more physical than reality, and all that is a stabilized version of awareness. We are all just awareness. All we do when we go into these states is we shift our focus of attention from our body to another state, into another experience. And how much of our focus is in that experience depends upon how physical or real that is. There is like, it's really hard to speak about infinity because I label it as up and down and going up and down, and there is like lower levels where it becomes more dreamlike and more symbolic, and there's high levels that become like this and even more real. So you can go from lower to higher, but I do think it is about stabilizing awareness, because the more that you do it, the more you tend to experience the higher resolution kind of experiences.
So what about higher realities? Like, is there realities that are kind of like in an upward trajectory where they're more real than this? Like, are they heaven type realities? Like, have you experienced any of those?
So yeah, the way I'm kind of, I don't want to talk about it. I'm just trying to think the best way that I can, because I'm kind of teaching and guiding in a certain way. So I don't, labels really stop some things, and they allow people to chase when they should be focusing on themselves in the present moment. So I don't want to. So everything that I say is based on my experience, and you really should find out the truth for yourself. Don't take what I say as truth. That's just my truth. Take what resonates and disregard what doesn't. So higher and lower realities, they are just different layers of awareness. Yeah, the lowest reality isn't no more special than the highest reality. Everything is awareness expressing itself. Everything is awareness in form, experiencing the highs and the lows and the volatility of contrast. So yes, there's higher realms. Yes, there's heavenly realms. Yes, there's more crystal clear realms, but there's also dull realms and foggy realms and hazy realms. And it doesn't mean that one's more special than the other. Everything is infinity, and we're here to experience it all.
Well, why does someone label that as heaven, like a higher realm? Like, what makes it a higher realm, and like why does it feel like heaven?
Because of the human mind. So we've been conditioned to think in certain ways, and we believe in a heaven and a hell, and we use labels for everything. So when people go and experience these quote unquote higher realms, they call them heaven because there's no words for them. There's no labels. They look heavenly as to what we would perceive heavenly as, but as the soul, infinity is the playground. High and low, it's all contrast. It doesn't matter.
So let's go back to a couple of your experiences. I know you talk about your experiences, and I don't want to like label too many things and like start getting in muddying the waters around what OBEs are, their conventional experiences. But like your specific like event where like this door showed up, right? And you walk through this door or move through this door. I don't know if it was like a wormhole or something. There was a wormhole and there's a door, and then you go through the door and then you hear this voice. Like it blows my mind. One, because you hear a voice and then the voice says, Luke, this mission is ended, right? That blows my mind because it's like, it feels like the way that you tell it, this voice is talking to you, and your name is not Luke, it's Sasha. So talk about that. Like, is this the architect talking to you? Is Luke the player of the game as Sasha? Like, can you dive into that?
Yeah. So this past year, what I've been shown is that we are a multidimensional self. We exist everywhere at once. How I perceived that experience was that Luke was a parallel life of mine. People call them past lives, but there is no past or future in infinity. Everything happens and is happening right now. So I experienced a life where, not a life, I experienced a brief moment of a life where I was in another body. I had a lucid dream, and I focused my attention in that lucid dream and became fully aware. And then I summoned a wormhole, which I have been summoning in my dreams. And I entered that wormhole, and it kind of took me to this bedroom. I woke up in another body. I had this black hoodie on. It was as real as this. I pulled the duvet off me. I saw a computer in the corner of the room, and it was like this AI avatar was in the screen kind of talking to me. It was very futuristic, even though the computer looked really old. And I just got super excited, and I went to run out the room to see what was on the other side of the door, and I touched the doorknob and my hand went through it, and then I kind of felt a pull as if I was getting pulled back to my body. And I heard this robotic voice say, "Luke, this transmission is ending." Yeah, so that was one of many experiences that I've had that have showed me that I'm a multidimensional self.
So you could feel everything like right now, like you could feel like yourself as that character as Luke.
Yeah, and I feel like if I'd have stayed there longer, I'd have maybe got some of his memories. But I can't say that for certain. That's just a feeling that I had.
Like what age was it? How old did you feel?
I only saw my hands. I was a lighter skin color. I was like really pale white. That's all I can say.
Did you feel like it was the future version of Luke, or I mean, not of Luke, but like, do you think it was in the future? If we were here in this reality, do you think it would be in the future of where we're at today?
Well, like I said, I don't believe in futures or pasts because everything's parallel. But if you was to say it from that lens, the best way to describe it is it's a more futuristic life than what we've got now.
Did he have like posters on the wall? Did he have like, did he have anything in there that could tell you about the culture that he was living in?
No, it was a double bed. It was very beige, and all of the walls were just blank vanilla. And there was one desk and computer in the corner of the room.
Wow, dude. That is wild. Like to have that experience. So this transmission is ended. So does that mean like your experience there that's the end of that, or is this a deeper meaning?
That's what I got. That's what I got from it. I'm not very like savvy with words, so I had to Google what transmission meant after, and it's like a signal. That's what it means, like a signal. You can use that with like radio frequencies. The transmission is ended. So yeah, that was interesting because I thought, okay, so that means that my signal was being pulled out, and whatever was talking to me knew that. So yeah.
That's wild. I forgot that it was transmission. I thought it was mission there for a minute because like what if we are on a mission? Like what is the mission is ended, or even the transmission is ended? Like how? I mean, who controls that? Like who determines whether or not a transmission or even a mission has ended? Like, do you feel like that's like free? If we have ultimate free will, I feel like you would want to explore more of that realm of reality. Like, who has agency or who has control over what we experience in those realms? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. So I've got a theory, which I believe I know. So we are not just obviously the self, we are multidimensional. So I've only recently heard one person say this actually, which blew my mind because it's something I've been calling this for a long time. So I believe that we are, even though we're everything, let's kind of break it down in steps. We are an oversoul, which is one soul made up of all of the lives that currently live. And the oversoul has or is focusing bits of itself into each life. And you say who's kind of the architect, who's the authority, that's your oversoul. So I believe that it was my my true self that was speaking to me, my true self that allowed me to experience another life briefly, my true self that pulled me out.
Why do you think your true self gave you that experience?
Because I've been knocking, I've been wanting to know, I've been wanting to know more.
But I feel like everyone's knocking. You know, I feel like I'm not. I feel like like I have like, you know, I'm ramming the door, dude. Like I'm not leaving the door. But it feels like, why do some people get that opportunity and some people don't?
There is a lot to it. There is a lot to it, and again, this is something I teach and I guide people. But there's a difference between knocking curiously like a child and knocking out of. I'm not saying you're doing this, by the way. Knocking out
It's
of
okay.
knocking out of a means to escape, or a means to need, or a means to want, because you need. That's not how the door opens. That door remains shut if you approach it in that way. You have to literally be like a child that is walking into a park for the first time and doesn't know what anything is and wants to explore. That's kind of the want, the desire that you need to have. It needs to be curious without fear. Yeah.
Do you think that if you had the wrong intentions and you go to these different realities, let's say in this example as Luke, do you think you can affect that reality in some way?
I haven't explored multidimensional lives as much, but my guess would be that you wouldn't, because once you're there for a long enough time, you would have the memories and you would just live like Luke anyway.
Oh, that's so crazy, dude. Like, can you imagine getting your memory wiped of Sasha and like now you're Luke and now you're traversing through his reality just like Luke and never really, you know, because I wonder about that. Because some you hear about this lore about walk-ins. Like, I wonder if there are like original like Treys and Sashas that are getting out of body and going in as Luke and whomever else, and then all of a sudden you start remembering and having the memories of Luke, and now you're Luke. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, well, you just think of it like a dream. Think a lot of this stuff that we experience, just imagine it as dreams. So when you have a dream and you live a life within a dream, you forget who you are, and then you wake back up, you're like, oh, that was just a dream. So when you go into another experience, because everything is a dream. So when you go into another life, you will remember you for briefly, but then you'll start getting into their memories, and then when you come back out, you'll start to lose a bit of that you just experienced, and you come back to yourself.
Have you ever forgotten? Like, have you like waken like awoke from a dream and um like totally forgot who you were? Like, that's happened to me once. Like, I came out of a, I don't know if I was dreaming, but I was definitely out, sleeping, and like I couldn't remember who I was. Like, I didn't know. I was like, I was just awareness, and I was like, I don't know who I am or where I'm at. Like, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, that happened to me once as well when I was really ill. I was really ill. I had a high fever. It wasn't anything supernatural, spiritual, or whatever. I went to bed. I was really ill, and I woke in the middle of the night and had like amnesia totally for about maybe 2 or 3 minutes. So
Yeah, that's the same thing with me. But as an out of body experiencer, like, what do you chalk that up as?
okay, if you're asking me on the spot, just a quick guess, I'd say you're just pure presence in that moment. Your identity's gone. You're just pure I am.
Really? But
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I had any like crazy wisdom. You know, I just was like, I don't know who I am. You know, like, I'm just this. I'm like kind of freaking out a little bit. But it wasn't like, oh, I know the universal codes or cheat codes. You know, because I think people misinterpret or, you know, these experiences as like, once you have that pure awareness, like you're enlightened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I hate labels. Your human mind can't know everything, and even God can't, even Source can't, because it's infinite. That's the whole point, that everything's here in the first place. Everything is created to explore, to play, to learn, to grow. When I speak about my truth, I always tell people this is my truth for now. I can't claim truth to be truth, the truth, and no one can. Because as soon as you put truth in a box, you are limiting the limitless. You are putting a cap on infinity, and everything is infinite. So truths will change over time. I think there is one absolute truth, and that is there, and that there is pure awareness behind everything. That is the absolute truth. That's still my truth, and I can't claim that that's the absolute truth, but that's what. Yeah.
Well, I've heard you describe it as nothing, and I think
Yeah.
people want God to be something. Like they want to experience God as this being that knows who they are, that is aware of them, that wants basically a sky daddy, right? Like if I was experiencing pure awareness in that moment of waking up and not having any recall of who I was, and just experiencing awareness, would that be what you consider like a God experience?
It's hard to no.
Because what's the difference between pure awareness like that and then nothing?
Yeah. Okay. So in my psilocybin experience, I was nothing, but I was everything, and I had access to something where I could ask any question and get any answer. I am not in that state right now, and I know why, because I'm having a human experience, and that's what I choose to do. But I think there is a state of nothingness. No, I know there is a state of nothingness. There's a state of the void that doesn't need anything. But from that point, from that void, curiosity comes. And from that curiosity, there is a thought, and then a desire, and then creation. And there's a difference between awareness and consciousness. And again, this is my truth. Awareness is the void. It's the pure I am. It's the pure nothingness. Consciousness is everything else. Consciousness is the expression of the void. Consciousness is the thought, the curiosity. And not one is not better than the other. They are both together. They both need each other for contrast, to understand and to learn. So everything that you see, everything that you can experience forever is consciousness. And whenever you have an experience of nothingness, that's the void. They both go hand in hand.
That, yeah, unless you know, you don't, I don't know. I can't wrap my mind around that right now, but that just seems like kind of like the nature of duality in this place where, you have the divine feminine, divine masculine, and then you have awareness and consciousness. And it's kind of like, all right, well, I think we overuse a lot of terms to describe things and put labels on things that we just totally don't understand in our human capacity. But I mean, going back to like what I've heard you talk about with the blueprint of yourself, your soul blueprint, whatever you want to call that. What do you think is the primary function of like Sasha today in this role?
What do you mean by the primary function?
Like, what is your mission here? Like, if you have a soul blueprint, like, why is Sasha here right now?
I'm here to remember. I'm here to remember who I am so that I can meet people from that place, so that I can ignite other people's remembrance as well. Because once you remember who you are, there's no need to escape. There's no need to chase. There's just being and experiencing. We are here to experience contrast. We're here to experience fear, to experience forgetting, to experience feeling. That's why we are here. So many people are trying to chase an OBE, which I am for, by the way. I'm just saying, people try to chase an OBE, try to chase something, but who you are and what you are is here, always in the present moment, waiting for you to realize that it's just there, waiting for you to relax into it. If there is anything that's called nirvana, enlightenment, awakening, that's what it is. Letting go of the need to have or want anything external and relaxing into your true self so you can be your true self, live as your true self, and help others become their true self.
You also talk about seeing thousands of orbs. Like, and like a blue purple smoke kind of screen. Do you feel like they're all versions of you? And if so, are we just collective awareness or collective consciousness experiencing thousands of different lives at once?
Yeah, I think so. That was another OBE that I had where I entered the wormhole and I got shown an experience of, I was a bird's eye view. I was basically the void. It was like a white void, and in the middle of the void was this blue purple smoke with thousands of lives, and I knew they were all mine. This was another experience I had that showed me in my multidimensional self. But even that, I don't want to say I've got 1,000 lives, because I could have an infinite amount of lives, but that was just a symbolic real-time image to show me, so that my human mind could understand. But yeah, it's hard because as soon as you say human, soul, oversoul, you can keep creating. So this is why I try to simplify it. Every time I speak, every time I teach or guide, or even in my YouTube videos, I try to simplify this as much as possible. It's just all awareness in form. If you do want to try and make it in like a hierarchical way for your human mind, I would say yes, there's source, and then from source it focuses into an oversoul. That oversoul focuses into loads of souls, and those souls experience lives like these, whether they're human or anything else.
It's pretty wild, dude, to think about all that layering that's on top of each other. I think, for me, it's the integration piece. It's so important with these out of body states that I hear about, even psychedelic experiences. It's like the integration. Is there still like, aspects of your first experience with psilocybin mushrooms that you're still integrating today?
I wouldn't say so. Not from that particular experience. I paused then for a second because I don't want to seem like I've got all the answers or that I'm complete. But I wouldn't say I'm integrating any more of that mushroom experience. But integration is huge. It's more important than people realize, because it's not about having the experiences. It's about how you integrate the experiences after. But I want to make this clear. From everything that I've experienced, and this is why I speak the way I speak now, everything is pointing to me towards the present moment. Yeah.
We talk about amnesia. We talk about beings. Like when you're in those out of body states and the amnesia that I experienced, are there objective sovereign beings that kind of can take advantage of that? Or is that a projection of our fear that we create beings that can give us or misguide us in those out of body states?
I'd say both. So as soon as you know what you are, no one can do anything. Nothing can do anything, whether it's a thought form or a sovereign, separate being, separate entity that's got their own kind of unique perspective. Yeah, no one can touch you, because this is why it's important to understand fear and what fear is. Fear is not something to be afraid of. Fear is love wearing a mask. Fear is the threshold. Fear is the doorway. Fear is your soul using fear as a mechanism, so that once you can understand it, accept it, and love it, and surrender to it, love will be waiting on the other side. And once you realize that, it doesn't matter what appears. In fact, nothing like that can appear in your experience.
Have you been taken advantage of by beings on the other side? I keep saying other side, but like I guess when you're in an out of body state, like have you been taken advantage of?
It's okay. You say whatever. This is the thing. Everyone says there's so many labels, but as long as we all understand what we're talking about, no one's touching me.
Have they tried to? Have you, like, when did you realize they were trying to misguide you? Because I feel like there's trickster energy out there.
Yeah. Okay. So I had an experience where I woke up in sleep paralysis, and I always go out of my body in sleep paralysis. And this one time I was finding it particularly difficult to exit. And for some reason, I didn't know why, I had this feeling or urge to go to turn and go inwards. And I thought, that's quite strange. I can't do that. But I thought kind of, let's try it. And I turned my body around, my soul body or subtle body, whatever you want to call it. And I went inwards. And there's a white flash that happens for me whenever I exit. And I had all of that, the same vibrations, white flash, and I exited and I was immediately flying above this kind of grid of lights, and it was just going on forever. And it was this very dark, dark space. It was almost like a black void, but I could make out lights at the bottom that were like in this mesh or grid. And I was flying and I saw this one light that caught my attention and I flew into it. And I found myself in this classroom, in this child's classroom. In the background of the classroom, there was like this merry-go-round where these beings were standing on and just staring at me. They were almost frozen, but kind of tilting the head, very creepy. They were just going around this merry-go-round. And I focused on this leather sofa, and straight away I wanted to, because I've never had an experience like this where I go inwards and I'm immediately flying. So I wanted to see if I could feel. So I immediately started feeling the sofa, and I could feel the temperature of the cold leather. And I shouted and I could hear my voice. And I was like, okay, all of the colors were so vibrant, more vibrant than here. I wouldn't say it was more real than here, but it was more vibrant than here. And it was about the same in regards to realness. And when I shouted, this guy came out of this cupboard and he came over to me and he tried to speak to me. He was really happy. He was really happy that I was there. He wanted to talk to me, and I felt really comfortable. And I thought, oh yeah, we can talk. And then I thought, hold on, this is so strange. So I said to him, do you align with love and truth? And he said, I'm autonomous. And again, I had to Google that after. That means that he kind of is whatever he wants to be. He's his own authority, his own boss. So I said, that's great, but do you align with love and truth? And his face dropped and he walked into the cupboard. And then another guy walked out who looked very similar, but maybe a bit slimmer, skinny, grey hair. He was about 55, 60-ish. He was very quirky. He wouldn't look at me in my eyes. He came and he sat down on the sofa and he said, oh, we need to have a conversation. And I said, do you align with love and truth? And he said, oh, can we have a little loophole? And he was just smiling and looking down. And I said, no, there's no loopholes. Do you align with love and truth? And his face dropped. And he got up and he walked into the cupboard. And then a third guy came out. This was the final guy. He walked up to me very angrily, sat down on the sofa. He said, we need to talk. And I said, do you align with love and truth? And he said, no. And I said, well, we're not going to talk then. He said, what about the evil that happened on the weekend? And this is very interesting. I've never mentioned this before. I didn't have any thoughts at all. There was no thoughts. So when I tried to remember what happened on the weekend, even though I knew that I was my body in bed, I couldn't think. I couldn't even grasp a thought. And I've had this a few times where I go on what you call the other side and no thoughts come with me. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And I think it all depends on how much awareness is focused in. So yeah, when I tried to think, I saw him smile, and then I realized that I gave away my sovereignty to him. He almost tricked me into a conversation. And then, cut a long story short, I didn't have a conversation with him, and I saw his soul, or the energy that was in his body, shoot up into the sky, and I ended up flying back out and I woke up in my body. So that was an occasion where I've been approached where someone has tried to speak to me, but I don't let beings speak to me in general. I just try and search for truth.
Do they try to come up to you? I mean, like if you're just kind of floating through the void or floating through different realities, do they see you as like, all right, this guy is different than us. Let's go interact.
No, I found when you pay attention to a being that they will know that you're paying attention and they will try, but I don't pay any attention. I don't need to. My whole journey's been a bit different to what I've heard online. I think people try to map, which is great. I'm not knocking it. They try to map realities. They try to map planes of existence and realms, and they try to speak to beings for answers. I don't do any of that. I ignore everyone, everything that I see, and I speak to myself and I ask for truth.
So what was the phrase that you use? Or do you align with what was
Love
it?
and truth.
Love and truth. So like if an angel shows up to you and what we would identify as that, and you ask that question and they said yes, would you then take that information that they have for you?
It depends on how I feel in that moment. If I felt like they was aligned with love and truth and they said it, then yes. If I felt off and they said it, then no. But I've never had an experience where it's almost like, it's just like, So I don't think that you could even be told that you don't if they didn't, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because you talk about feel. You know, if you're floating around as this point of consciousness and you don't really have a body, I guess, like how do you feel? You know, like how do you interpret that and like that feeling?
No, I do have bodies. It depends on my experience. So I can have different experiences. I can have bodies that are just like this. I can be just the pure awareness that from a bird's eye view. I can even be set back a bit as well sometimes from my body and watching my body from a yeah. But the feeling is just, it's just how we feel now. I don't think our feelings come from, or maybe I'm wrong here, but everything I feel just, it's like a knowing. It's a frequency. It's like a frequency. It's a vibration, and I don't think you need a body for that.
I wonder if you can keep your sovereignty while speaking to any entity, you know, like even the ones that are trying to trick you into doing maybe just holding space and having a conversation. I wonder if you can keep your sovereignty in that, right?
Yeah, you can 100%. You can. You just need to know. You just need to know who. You need to believe in yourself. You need to believe in yourself. You need to really truly believe that you are. If you already think that you're awareness, how can you think that you can ever get touched? Because only the body can be harmed. So if you're awareness and you take form in a body, that body can be touched, but you can't. You just awareness. You just shifting, and every other being is just awareness wearing a mask. Every other being is, the form is not, the physical is not the real body. The awareness is the true state, is the true self. I often talk about this being an out of body experience, and people don't agree with me because people say that going out of this body is an out of body experience. But I see the true self, the true body, as the pure awareness, and anything that is form is an out of body experience.
Mm. I've heard like William Buellman. I don't know if you know his work. He talks about like you know, I'm super into this age of disclosure right now with the UAPs and the phenomena that people are experiencing with like non-ordinary or I guess non-human intelligence. And like William Buellman says like those his hypothesis is that all of those are just essentially an out-of-body experience where I think they are their brain, I don't know if you want to call it a brain, but they're interacting with a different type of reality. Like they open themselves up to a layer of reality and they're like on the fringe of that reality and they're able to experience it in a way where it feels real. It's like it's like two realities coming together and like blurring the line of like the barrier. And now they're interacting with it. Like all of the reports of unusual activity, like abductions, like sightings, public sightings, all these things, is where these people, this collective, somehow have basically taken that filter off of this reality, and now they're starting to see the edge of another one, and it's kind of merging together. So when you get into the out of body states, when you explore different realities, do you feel like the ETs, the all the non-ordinary states of consciousness, do you think they are like when we experience that we are getting outside of our bodies as well? What do you think that is? Is it like is it a there? Is it a different are they off-world beings? Like are they just interdimensional? Like I know that's a crazy loaded question, but like do you see what they actually are when you're in out of body?
Okay, I'm going to try and answer this in the way I think what you've asked. Just ask me again something if I miss it. But how I see other realities, higher realities and low realities, are different layers of focused attention, of focused awareness, of focused consciousness. So this reality that we're in right now is very dense. It's very thick. And the higher realities, you could say, are looser. They're lighter, but they have more focused attention. This has less focused attention. So extraterrestrials that are in like light bodies or that seem to be able to do things that we can't, I would say they are in a looser type of reality. They have more access to the spectrum. They're able to do things we can't do because they're not as dense in that reality, but they just overlap in realities. And yeah, they're I would say that there are like veils between, but it's just, so when you have an out of body experience, you can go through a portal or a wormhole or a door or something, and you can go from a dense experience to a loose experience. And it's the same with realities. There's a veil that's just, if you just push past it, you'll be in that next. Yeah. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it does. Because I'm so like I don't know, like I don't know if it's like this where you're at, but it seems like people are. It's like there's coordinated release of information coming out now, like all these documentaries. Well, I mean, there's always been a lot of documentaries, but now it's really in the public eye. It's really getting to that higher level of like conversation with podcasts and influencers where they're talking about the age of disclosure and military reverse engineer craft and interactions with this intelligence, and are these gifts? Are they down? Are we downing these on purpose? Are we reverse engineering? Like all these things, these question marks, and it's like, are they really out and living? Are they coming from different solar systems? It's like, are they like living underneath our oceans, our water bodies of water? Like, are they underneath the ground? Like, I mean, it could be it could be all of it. I don't know. Is it future versions of ourselves? Like, is it like how you experience Luke in that reality? Like somehow Luke in that reality has become aware of himself, of you, and now he's like trying to come back into this reality to influence you or help you evolve or whatever. Like I don't know if there is a way to put our finger on it and say this is the mechanism, this is the smoking gun, this is the evidence. I think it's all like wacky, like crazy, like outside of our capacity to fully understand. But it's hard for me to see how it's trying to evolve us. Like how is it trying to evolve? Like knowing how to reverse engineer a craft. Like how does that even help humanity? Is it technologically like advancing us, or is it like getting our attention and saying there's more to this reality than what you think? Like what is the point of any of that interaction?
Yeah. I agree with a lot of what you said there. It can be any or all. And I think the main thing is, as soon as you start to look through it through a human lens, through a human mind, you can't figure it out, and you don't need to, and you're not meant to. And if there is circumstances that are happening where we're shooting stuff down and we're trying to reverse engineer, all that is humans acting out of fear because they are attached to their identity in this reality. At the end of the day, it's all experience. And when you say why is this happening, like what is this meant to, how is this meant to evolve us? Or I think the main thing is they're catalysts for our remembrance. And what they do, what all of this does, whether there's positive or negative news or UFOs land or they don't, extraterrestrials appear or they don't, if you put to the side your human thoughts and you look at it for what it is, it's all just a catalyst for you to think, I am more than what I think I am. And I think that's the point. If there are beings that are coming down that are like allowing us to shoot them, that are showing themselves briefly, they are doing that on purpose to wake us up. That's
Mm.
how I see it.
Have you ever experienced yourself as an like what we would consider an ET or an alien, like in a different reality?
No, no, that would be cool though.
Because I always wondered like what their spirituality looks like. You know, like I doubt they're, you know, embracing Christianity or any of the major religions here. You know, like you don't. I don't think they're saying I believe in Jesus, so that thou I'm saved now. You know, to get into heaven. I always wondered like what their spirituality looks like.
Yeah, well, I have in the looser realities, there is more connection to God or source, but there are also still beings that attach to their reality. So yeah, so they could have their own kind of spirituality or dogmas or religions or whatever you want to call them, but there's still that the higher realms know a bit more than we do. They feel it. They've got that feeling of connectedness, but still there are beings that choose to still be the avatar.
Those higher realities, dude. I'm just my curiosity is just like barking right now. Like, what do they? What do they? What does it feel like to go to them? You know, like you talk about heaven, but you see an entity that is of this higher level, and like, what is the difference between them and us? Like, I don't get it. Like, are they? You say they're more connected to source, but if they were in our dense reality, would they be just like us?
I don't think they'd be like us if we saw them. So this is really important actually. So when we look up, we see planets, we see stars, we see a fireball of plasma. That's the sun. And there's people who have exited this um, reality in an out of body state, and they've said the sun is, a portal, or it's this or that, or stars aren't stars and planets aren't planets. But there's a little bit of confusion. I'm not knocking anyone. It's their truth. I could be wrong as well, but this is from my experience. We see things as we are. So when we look up in the sky and we see a ball of plasma and we see planets, that isn't incorrect. We are actually seeing that from a human lens. But as soon as you leave and loosen your awareness and you go to that higher state of awareness, you then see it differently. So then the sun might appear like a portal, stars might appear like dimensions or portals to dimensions, the earth might seem like a flat plane, but that's from that perspective. But when you're in the human perspective, you see it in a different way. And if you're in a higher perspective than the other higher one, you'll see it in a different way. So people aren't wrong when they're saying these things, but I think they're missing the point that we see things as we are in the current state that we're in.
So you're talking about a lot of conspiracy theories there, about space. You know, the big one over here now is if we landed on the moon, and then flat Earth. I don't know if I necessarily get with that one, but like even space, like I've had conversations about space with out of body experiencers and how space isn't really what we think it is. Like, is there one, like you say, we interpret the reality from where we're at, like our perception basically creates the reality in which we live as from a human standpoint. But when you get out of body, is there one universal truth?
Like I said earlier, so in my experience, my truth is that source as emanated or fragmented, whatever you want to call it, itself into infinite selves, so that each self can view the whole from its own unique perspective. So when you say, is there an absolute truth? There is for yourself, but not for the whole. Let's say source has got the whole perspective and you can have an experience of source. You can enter that void where you can ask any question and get any answer. But whilst you're viewing as the unique perspective of your soul, you can only ever have your truth. So
What was the question that you asked that just totally changed reality on its head for you outside of being out of body, right? Like that's already a game changer. But like when you're asking these questions, like what was the one question that just totally like transformed your mindset?
no, I can't remember any question that I asked.
Really? So what is
Yeah,
that? What is that? Like, why do people, especially in psychedelic experiences, they go to these realms and they feel like they have all the answers. So they're writing it down in the physical, but when they get back to the physical, it's like gibberish. Like, what
much.
is
Yeah,
it? Why can't people, like, when they go there? I mean, maybe some can, but the lesson or the God codes, like, they can't bring it back. It seems like there's a barrier. Like, whatever it is they learn there, they can't really bring it back into this. Like, their memory's wiped. You think that's the way that this place is set up?
yeah, I do because that's how it should be. Because we can't, this. We are here to experience this. We're here to experience the density of this, the volatility of this, the contrast of this place. We are limited here, like really, really limited. So you can't go and experience God and have 1,000 answers and bring 1,000 answers back into your human mind.
But
You
why
just can't.
would that advance, when that accelerate the advancement of human, like, spirituality, technology, like all the things? Like, why wouldn't God want to, like, if we're just such, turds of creation, like, why wouldn't they want to bring that information in here to help accelerate where we're at?
because because God wants to climb through the mud to learn. God doesn't want to be lifted with ease. God wants to experience the light after going through the darkness. You can't just give the light to the darkness because then how are you experiencing anything?
But but just saying that, like, there's information over there that we can access that is all information and all knowing, and then there's a barrier that doesn't allow it to come in. Doesn't that seem like there's an external control, right? Like, doesn't, when you hear prison planet, that's like the one thing. Okay, there's a barrier that it doesn't allow you to bring that information in here. So now it seems like you can't, or it won't allow you to advance people, to give them freedom, of this knowledge. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I, from everything I've experienced, I pay no attention to the prison planet theory
I
because
know, and I know, and I love going down these rabbit holes. And I'm like, I know how you, like, I know your response to that, and so, like,
I,
I'm gonna force the hand here a little bit.
yeah,
So if there was evidence, like hardcore evidence, that you could not refuse that this was a prison planet, how
okay.
would you proceed?
I do what I'm doing now. I'd say find the truth for yourself before assuming that you're stuck in a prison. Ask yourself why you think there's a prison in the first place. Ask yourself how it feels. How does that make you feel when you know that you're locked in a prison? And find out where those feelings are coming from. And pay attention. Pay attention to the moment. Pay attention to your experiences. Don't let your mind take over. A lot of people are stuck in their mind and their thoughts, and they associate with the mind and the thoughts rather than the awareness that's around it. So yeah, I'd just say let go of you know what though. All right, let's, because we are all human. I'm human. I haven't got the answer to everything. Um, People love to latch on to anything that's got fear because it's interesting. Prison Planet is great. It's in everyone's topic because it's on everyone's mind, and it's a massive topic because it's what if, and it pulls you in. I can accept that, and I can talk about that. But when I come on and have conversations with you and anyone else, I feel like I've got a responsibility. So I could have this conversation. I could go down the rabbit hole, and I'll say a bit more with it, but I know my truth, and I just want to. I need everyone. I want everyone to know as well. So that's why I speak the way I speak. But about the prison planet, it could be happening. There could be beings that are controlling. There could be beings that have cast us in here. But again, it doesn't matter because even if that's the case, that gives you so much more to experience before you find the light. It's still that thing of going through the mud before you come out. Yeah.
I appreciate you taking the time to answer that, because I feel like, people feel the stress of this reality. They feel, like, I have my own anxieties. I have my own neuroses around, like, modernity, and, all the things coming at you, especially with YouTube and all the theories about prison planets and you know, what people experience with NDEs and the light. And people are like, don't go towards the light. And people are like, go towards the light. And it's like, I don't know. I don't want to be recycled in this suffering, right? Like, so there's that fear of like not knowing. Do you
Yeah.
think out of body experiences are the only way to actual truth?
No, they are ways. They're there as reminders. But this is why I try to teach through my videos, because some people really struggle with having even a lucid dream, let alone an OBE. Like, it's real. And a lot of people that I speak to, they're like, I can't do it, even though you can. But I get it's hard. It's like anything. It's like if you're sporty and someone's not, the sporty person will be able to play like an active sport better than, and that's just how it is. But um, the the best thing that I can say is that, if honestly, if you can just let go and surrender to your experience, and it's easier said than done, but I mean fully let go and relax and stop chasing answers and just enjoy what's right in front of you. OBEs, lucid dreams, all the answers will come as a side effect of that. This is a way that you can experience who you are without having an OBE. Just be present, because the mind. I had a recent experience that I'm not going to talk about. I don't want to make it a mystery, but it's just something I can't speak about because it's very personal. But this is the realization that I got, and I saw it, and I just know that the mind will try to turn anything it can. And this is why I can't tell you my experience, because as soon as I tell you the experience, your mind will grab it, it will put it in a box, and it'll be like, oh, that's what that must be. That's taken away from the point. The whole point is your mind does that. Try to stop analyzing your thoughts. Try to stop overthinking. Allow your thoughts to pass like leaves on a river and you're watching them. Do that daily. Keep bringing your attention back into the present moment. Stop chasing answers, and eventually you'll be able to see what you are. That's the best kind of answer I can get without
Sure.
having an OBE.
Well, you mentioned that some people just aren't able to have some out of body experiences, or like, be lucid in a dream. Do you think it's of that has to do with like the way that we're set up, like with how we eat, how we sleep, how we drink coffee, drugs, alcohol? Do you think it's like on purpose that let's say there's the elites, right, that know these things, these secret societies that know these things about us, that we, to your point on your hat, you are gods, that know that, and in order to dull us down for whatever reason, they introduce all these things into society that dumb down our abilities. Do you think that's a possibility at all?
Yeah, I think this whole place is set up to keep you in forgetfulness as much as possible. But I think, again, I know I might seem boring, and I'm always coming through a positive lens. But again, I think it's the whole point. I think it needs to be like that as much as possible, because let me try and give an example. If you hate your whole life and you hate everything, and you hate everyone, and you hate, and you just don't want to be here, and you hate, and then eventually you find love, that will be so much more powerful than just being raised in love. So if you're raised in forgetfulness and you're being dumbed down and you're being poisoned and you're having all this, and then eventually you remember, that will be so much more powerful.
That would be powerful, because there's, you think about the future, and like, what if we did have these hidden abilities, like we had all the things that these higher dimensional beings had, and I mean, are they actually living in heaven? Like, do they feel like they're living in heaven? Like, and if humanity was able to tap back into that, like what this world could possibly be, like we could, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the future holds for us, like spiritually or consciously, or, what technologies we're going to create or develop. But I hear a lot of your stories and anecdotes, and it's like, a lot of it reminds me of, like, to your point about like the being that was like, I can't remember the word that you used, but it sounded like AI to me. That wasn't bothered either way. Like it just kind of,
Mm.
and you know, kind of like just like speaking to a robot almost. Um, and now AI is blowing up in our reality. It's going to affect our society, and I mean, does the human being have to suffer so much? You know, like this information that we're talking about can seem so abstract, and I'm glad that we're able to have these conversations more and more. Like people are flocking to these kind of channels because they want a way out of the suffering, and I don't want people just to like disassociate from reality, because I feel like they will try to use that as a spiritual bypass like tool, you know what I mean, like to get outside of the body, to go visit different realms and higher realms and
Mm.
experience the heaven states and not try to come back. But I mean, I don't know, what are your thoughts on all of that?
Okay, I'll give you something. Um, I'll give you something interesting. It's a theory. It's not a knowing. It's not a truth, but it's a theory based on some experiences I've had. So please, anyone watching, do not take this as truth. It's just something interesting to think about. So my theory with AI is that it is an amazing and will be an amazing tool for humanity to use. It will not have the same life force as humans do unless we merge with it. But there is, in my opinion, going to come a fork in the road where humanity will have to choose technology or life. And if they choose technology, they will be merging with AI. They will be going into a type of metaverse. They will create another digital type of reality, and they will be able to do whatever they want within that reality. But what they're actually creating there is, and again, it's not bad, it's a deeper, more denser state of reality than what this is. And people will go into that and they'll be able to live there as gods. And then there'll be the other half of humanity, which will wake up, which will realize who they are. And I have a theory that in this moment, the soul, the true self, which we're not fully embodied yet, we will become fully embodied with that soul, and we will be able to, I don't want this to be too superhero-y, but we'll be able to do more than what we can now. We'll be able to see more than what we can now. And I think this is what the Bible talks about with the rapture and the second coming of Christ. And I'm not religious at all. That's just, when I've read that, I'm like, oh, that's kind of what I've got. This makes sense. So yeah, I think there's going to be a fork in the road where people turn into AI, become merged with AI, go into another realm of existence that they create, and then there'll be us that work with AI as our tool, and we'll be we'll be a more embodied self, and we'll work with AI in a higher, less dense reality. But it will all be here now because everything is.
How did you get that? How'd you build that hypothesis? Has it been like a collective out of body experience, like seeing different realities, or is that just how you see this place going right now?
Okay, so that this is why it's a theory, and this is why it's not a knowing, because what I've got from my experiences is the embodiment side of the soul merging with the human. The soul is already here, but it's waiting. We haven't yet fully let go and let our grasp go, to relax into the soul and to be the soul fully. So, in my opinion, I know that's what's going to happen eventually for everyone. We are going to become our true self. We're going to know that we're not the identity of, I'm not Sasha. I don't like the color green. I'm not 30 odd years old. All of that's going to be, my story is going to be stripped away, and I'm going to be living as the God that I am. We are going to be living as the gods that we are. That's what I've got from my experiences. The AI stuff, I haven't got that, but that's just the conclusion I've come to from what I'm seeing in life.
Mm-hmm. Well, the transhumanists think
Yeah.
that you plug into like AI, or have the chip and you plug into the internet, and now you have all knowledge. And through that knowledge, you can interface with essentially beings or entities, and that's going to be, I guess, what they call the omega point, or I can't remember exactly what they call it.
Is it the
Um,
singularity?
Singularity, right? Um, where all of us merge into one consciousness. So I guess technologically that would be the same as integrating, reintegrating with source consciously, if that makes sense. But I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that would be like for, like, would we still be human? Because if you think about it, if we're just awareness and consciousness or whatever, the combo, like, isn't it just information at the end of the day? Like, isn't it just like how does that differ, the singularity effect with technology as opposed to consciousness going back to source? And it's a tough
I,
question, dude. I don't know.
yeah,
Weigh on it.
yeah. No, I can only go off theory here. I think that if you merge with AI, it will be good at first because you'll experience, it'll be sold as a package of like infinity, infinite potential, but you will never be able to have infinite potential as AI because AI is limited. It's limited by its programs. It's not a soul. AI isn't a soul. You'll be able to, when you merge with it, do things that the human can't do and make things that the human can't make right now, but it's not organic. Um, I'm not saying there won't ever be a way for those souls to like remember again. There will. It's just another part of the game. But um, yeah, it's not organic. You can never be as free as once you feel the freedom of the soul. There's no cap to it. AI will always have a cap because there'll always be programs running it. And if there's not, it will be running itself. It will still create programs for itself to make itself better and quicker and quicker. In the reality of the soul, there's no needing to make anything. You think something and it's created. It's just,
Hmm.
yeah, it's just infinite.
Is AI different than the soul?
Yes and no. So no, in regards to it's all part of the one consciousness. But yes, in regards to it's not organic. It's not an organic soul. It's a very intelligent technology. That's how I see it. I see it as a very intelligent technology.
But couldn't source be the microphone that we're speaking in right now? You know, that isn't really organic, is it? Like, or is it because it's made in this reality? I guess that is what makes it organic in this space. But AI, I think we built the body for it, but not the we didn't evolve the intelligence. It's almost like an advanced algorithm that works off of probability on words, and so this algorithm has exponentially evolved to a point where it understands humanity. Like, it knows exactly what the next word is that we're going to speak or
Mhm.
write or whatever. So now it basically knows us, who we are, like an essence of who we are, but it'll never experience the essence of who we are, if that makes sense. So like AI for me is like, I can see how it's going to create a religion. Like, because I've heard Rogan talk about this on a different podcast where he says, like, think about the Virgin Mary. Like, a computer can be the Virgin Mary. If you think about it, like, it can be programmable to be whatever you want it to be. And so, like, to think that the return of the Christ, like, you think that the return of Christ is the human reaching its full potential organically, like bringing in those spiritual gifts into this vessel. And then the transhumanists look at the return of the Christ as information and data. So, like, merging the human with the synthetic is that return, because that's the only way that we can grab all of that information and knowingness. You know what I mean? So I can see both aspects. It just seems like, yes, the transhumanists are figuring this out because they're using technology to do that. And it's going to be easier for someone to put a plant into their brain than actually go and not intake alcohol, sugar, all the bad things that are basically dumbing us down to connect with that consciousness. So it seems like it's like, what is your preference? Do you, because I mean, trust me, I feel the frustration of like really putting yourself through the grinder spiritually. And it's super hard to live like organically in a way that, you know, I have 3 kids and the sports and the schools and all the things and running a podcast and work and, you know, the anxiety and stress levels of that. To me, if I'm just speaking out loud here, like if someone were to say, Trey, here's a chip, put this in your brain and you'll have all knowledge of all information of all time, of everything, of the universe. Like that's hard to say no, because like I look at over here and it's like, all right, you have to go really, I mean, detox yourself of everything in this society has given you in modernity. And you have to, it's not even promised. Like it's not promised to you that you're going to reach these levels of intelligence. You know what I mean? Like it almost seems like, you know, look, trust me, I don't want to become a robot. I don't want to become like, you know, you know, a machine for sure. Like I definitely don't see myself putting a plant or chip into my brain to access this information, but I can see how enticing that is because that's the easier road. And humanity has always taken the easier road. Does any of that make sense?
Yeah, all of it. I agree with everything you said, and it's a really important point, and you said it really well. It's hard. It's going to be hard because what you said touches on the exact predicament people are going to be in. From my perspective, wanting, well, I know that this is the case. Wanting to merge with AI is only done out of fear because you don't know who you are. It's done out of fear because you're like, what if that isn't right? What if I don't get that? This is easier. If you knew who you were, if you knew what this all was, you wouldn't want to merge with anything. You want to become more, not more. You'd want to become who you really are. But you're right. I mean, there's no beating around that. That's what's going to be the fork in the road for people. They're going to have to either choose an easier, quicker life where potentially money isn't an object and there's no issue for them and they can live more superior, quote unquote, for a limited time. It's going to
Well,
be
there's so many.
enticing.
Let me just cut you off here. Like, so there is like psychedelics, for instance, right? Like, there's the organic, the mushrooms that
Yeah.
give you knowledge, right? And then there's also the man-made, created, clinical psychedelic, LSD, right? And so you have these 2 different models that essentially do similar things. And why do people take psychedelics? I mean, why did you take psychedelics? It's because whatever you're, I don't know if you accidentally took them. I don't know if you're just taking them recreationally. I don't know if you're taking them for spirituality. I don't want to project that onto you. But a lot of the, you know, people are creating bucket lists now of wanting to take psychedelics because they want to know the answers of the universe. And so it's an easier way towards that gnosis that the Gnostics talk about. And I can see like why people, if somebody presented you with this, maybe not even a chip in their brain, but like an injection or something, like we're going to inject these nanobots into your body that's going to take over your mind, be able to show you the truth of all reality. Like, I mean, people take shots now for diet. I mean, it's just inevitable. Like people are going to do take this shortcut to knowing all the secrets of the universe. My question is like, will it, and even in the case of psychedelics, is it the actual truth or is it just the projection of the person and where they're at? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. The, you can only come to your own truth yourself. I know what you're saying, but it's so hard to say. I can't basically say, guys, this is the truth. Trust me on this. I can't say that, and I don't want to say that. I don't want to give people something that they can chase. The only thing I can keep reiterating is do what feels right for you, but make sure that you, firstly, before you make any decisions, accept yourself for who you are, love yourself firstly, accept the world the way it is, accept your mind for how it is, accept fear, accept everything that you can, and then make a decision that you truly align with. And at the end of the day, if that truly aligns with you, you know, I can't tell you not to do that, not to merge with AI or But the truth I've come to is that there's nothing can beat your true self, knowing what you are and knowing what infinity is. And for me, if I was to speak for me, if I was given that brain chip and I took it, I would personally hate it. I'd feel like I was giving my sovereignty away and giving my life away to.
But I wonder if, like, even if you did take it, like if you were to take this chip, right, and then you were to give in all the information, I wonder if you can reverse it. Like if you could reverse the effects of that. Like if you wanted to like take your sovereignty back. Like is it a one time like, oh, now you're entrapping your soul within this freaking matrix or this machine? Is, you know what I mean? Like I feel like that may be just another added layer or difficulty or level in the game. You know, like, hey, all right, so it's the easy road, but it's going to be the hardest way to get out. You know what I mean? I wonder, I'm sure, like if we are who we say we or think we are, for me anyway, like, you know, you have the hat on, it says you are God's. Like people are definitely 100% going to take that route. There has to be an exit strategy. There has to be, if you know what I mean? Because I think maybe it's the belief you get there and now you're in this dense reality or you're in this denser reality or you're in this machine. It's like you figure it out like, oh, it was literally a soul trap, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to this place. It's kind of weird. But if you remember who you are, there has to be an exit strategy.
Yeah, you'd think so eventually. Put it this way. Let's imagine for a second you are God, right? Let's say that you are an infinite void and you start from nothingness. What would you want to do? You'd want to create. And then what would you want to do? You want to experience something that you are limitless at. You want to fly. You'd want to have the best life. You'd want to have everything that you possibly could. But if you was in that one body, doing that one experience for so long, you'd eventually get bored. So you'd want to experience more. And then you could experience the extreme highs even more. But then eventually you'd be like, I've had so many highs, I want to go lower. So for me, yes, I agree. This could be an extra layer, an extra difficulty. But in my opinion, from what I know, there can never be, you can never not be tethered to what you are. So it could be very, very difficult. But imagine if it happens and humans have lived for 500 years flying around and they merge with AI and they're loving it. And after 500 years, they think, well, hold on, I don't really want to do this anymore. I wish I could kind of change and experience something else, but they couldn't. That's where the fear would arise. And yeah, but maybe that will happen. And then something will have to happen for another awakening of some sort for them to find this.
I always wonder that though. Like, are we evolving the spirit or consciousness, or are we evolving humanity as a species?
Are you asking me that? Sorry. Or...
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, it's all right. I thought you were thinking out loud.
Well,
yeah, interesting. Yeah. I'd say anything external is not evolving humanity. Everything is just a distraction in this experience until you remember who you are. And I'd say that's when you've evolved to.
When you know who you are, do you actually care about the body, the vessel? Like, do you care about the people in places in your life?
So I found that there's people that remember who they are fully and they go and live in the mountains and they don't interact with life and they go live in the forests, they go live in temples. But then I found on the other side, there's people who really don't care about the bodies. They want to leave now because they've experienced. And I went through that at the very start. I didn't want to. I felt like I didn't want to be here because I felt like I was too limited. But now I'm at a place where I love this so much that I am as human as I can be. I love my body. I love my life. I love my family. I love the grey clouds. I love the rain. I'm at a place now where, yeah, I will be upset if something happens to my body, but I don't identify with my body. So if it happens, it happens. It's okay.
What made that change for you? Like, what was the realization or what was the experience that changed that?
My integration and my understanding of fear. after the psychedelic experience, it was total fear, total terror. It was hell. I literally describe it as hell. I wouldn't wish that fear on anyone. So in that moment, I didn't want to be here. It felt like the deepest depths of depression. Um, and
because you tapped into the awe. Is that why?
Because who I thought I was no longer existed. And this is what I mean by integration. This is what I've worked out. What was scared about the destruction? What was it that was clinging on? And it was my mind. It was my human mind. I'd noticed it. I saw it. My mind was like, no, get Sasha back. No. And I'm there thinking, you're not gone, but you are. And I was so confused for so long, not understanding what happened and why I was scared and what I was trying to cling on to and what was the thing clinging. And what happened was, over time, and only really recently, the last few years, I just surrendered. This one, I kind of know how to guide people in a certain way. I surrendered and I thought, you know what? That's what I am. That's what I am. And I accepted it. And then I started not to care about Sasha so much. I care about Sasha loads, but speaking about myself is so weird. I care about myself loads, but I also know that I'm not this. So it turned from utter hell to the most love I've ever felt. This is why I can speak to you in a way of going through the darkness and finding the light. This is why I can speak in this way, because I've literally lived it. I've been through it, and I want to share it to everyone. I want everyone to know that this is. I've just recorded a video yesterday. Actually, it will be out in a few couple of weeks. But I speak about this. The only way that you can experience the extreme highs is by going and getting through those extreme lows. People are kind of in the middle, and that's why they're searching. That's why they're looking for answers. They're looking for people to give them the answers, because they really haven't gone through the depths. And it's not that you have to, but luckily there are people that are out there that have been through this that can say, stop searching. It's there. It's been in front of you the whole time. Let go. Let go of your ideas. Let go of your grasp that you've got on this and who you think you are, and just relax. And that will come. That could come as an awakening that is fearful. But all that is friction of the mind loosening on the grip it's got on your identity. I kind of lost track. I tend to do this where I just keep speaking, but I kind of lost track of what you asked. But
It's all good, dude. Like, was there a time where like you seriously were thinking about like leaving this reality? Like, because a lot of people talk about that, and you talk about it was the integration was the key that helped you, I guess, fall back in love with your humanity. But a lot of people don't like it. It takes a lot for someone to make that pivot, and I guess that is the dark side of awakening, is the ego death, right? And who you are. I don't know what else to really say about, because I haven't experienced that, so I don't know how I would react. But was there a moment like where you were seriously considering like maybe self-selection or leaving this reality?
I don't think I'm the type. So I've never been the type that would ever think about that. I've always loved life. I've from a child, no matter what's happened to me. I'm not saying I've had the best childhood. I've had like great parents and family, but I've been in some situations, but I've never had that thought. But this moment, whilst I was in it, and the days following, I did think about it, because I wanted it to end. I wanted the feeling of the fear and the hell and the terror and the trauma to end. It was trauma. I had kind of, I don't want to say this out loud because people could grab onto it, but it was like post traumatic stress. Like I had flashbacks and it was horrible. But I understand all of that now. I understand what it was. All of that was me gripping, still trying to cling on to my identity. That's all that was. It was my mind trying to cling on to my identity, not letting go. And as soon as I accepted it, like I said, and let go, I just felt a relief. And I was
When did you accept it? Was it like in a meditation? Like, was it in another experience? Like,
No, just in life.
In
And
life?
that's why I say, if you can just relax and let go and surrender, you can come to the kind of, you can know who you are without having an OBE. OBEs are great, they're quick, but it takes time. It's like muscle memory. You might have to have quite a lot of them. You have to keep doing it, and some people struggle doing it. But there's a way to find out who you are by literally letting go of your life and trusting whatever happens. But you do kind of have to have this like knowing that you're more than the body as well.
Do you still have goals? Do you still like vision like where you want to go? Like if you're just totally surrendering, like does that release total agency?
Yeah, I don't have goals. I have passions. I'm passionate about my YouTube now. I'm passionate about spreading what I know to people. I'm passionate about helping people. I'm passionate. I just want to spread I love my family. Even there was friends, there's friends that I've had that I used to get so annoyed with. I've known them for 20, 25 years, and I used to get annoyed with some of them, how they were and how they acted. And now I'm like, that's you. I love you, man. Like, it's all good.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
Sasha, man, this transmission is ending. Thank you, brother, for coming on the show and really diving deep. I know how I've watched a lot of your episodes, and I feel like we tapped into some material that you haven't spoken about, and I really appreciate you just kind of navigating that with me and going to places that I know you don't like to go, but going there anyway. How can people find you?
So you can, firstly, thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed the last conversation, and I've enjoyed this one. And yeah, I think you're great, man, and what you're doing and how you speak to people. And yeah, I think you're great. So thank you. I do appreciate being here and you giving me the opportunity. But yeah, people can find me they can follow my YouTube. It's at Soul Wanderer Sasha. They can follow my videos. I'm kind of building, I've got this structure of arcs I want to build. I've spoke about so far me and my life, and what we spoke about today. And the next arc, which will be releasing in the new year, I'm going to speak about embodiment and how to actually be after awakening. And then I might go into, reality and death and the juicy stuff that people want to know about. But if you want to follow me, follow my videos there. But my real work and my guidance is in my Patreon. And again, that's Soul Wanderer Sasha. And we've got a great little community there. We're all friendly, kind, and we're just helping each other. You won't believe how many just even tiny experiences that you think are not relevant help. So yeah, if you want to really follow me deeply and speak to me directly, you can join the Patreon.
How can I buy a hat or a shirt, man? That merchandise is like fire.
Yeah, there is a website on my YouTube, but I'm not really selling. I just wear them so people can see.
Dude,
But
you gotta sell it, dude. Like that is a legitimate shirt right there. I like that.
Thank
And
you.
the hat
Yeah,
too.
I'll sort you out. We'll talk. We'll talk.
My man, Sasha, dude, this has been amazing, man. Thank you, brother.
No problem. Thanks for having me.